These are the times Mabel Pines was actually a terrible sister, starting with the episode The Time Traveler's Pig. When Stan's mystery fair kicks off, Dipper's got his eyes set on impressing Wendy, while Mabel finds herself infatuated with a prize pig that basically oinks her name.
He said Mabel! Either that or doorbell.
Dipper's mission? Win Wendy over with some carnival heroics. Mabel's mission? Win that pig, Waddles, at any cost. And let me tell you, that's where the chaos begins. Dipper's big chance crashes and burns when his aim hits the gritty, and he accidentally gives Wendy a black eye, instead of winning her the toy she wants. Enter Robbie with his snow cone, swooping in like a black-haired buzzkill to snag Wendy's attention. Meanwhile, Mabel is living her best life, hugging Waddles like he's the pig soulmate she never knew she needed. When she realizes Dipper is crushed, watching Wendy and Robbie ride off into the corndog-filled sunset, does she comfort him? Nah, she's too busy doing a victory lap with her new pet. Dipper asks her for help using a time traveler's device to fix his epic fail with Wendy, and Mabel's all in. What follows is a time-traveling montage of Dipper trying and failing to change fate while Mabel keeps winning Waddles again and again.
Your face is so fat!
But the one version where Dipper finally succeeds? Yeah, that's the one where Mabel loses Waddles to Pacifica Northwest, the human embodiment of spoiled. And instead of letting Dipper keep his one shot at happiness, Mabel flips the switch, literally, and sends them spiraling through time. They hit pioneer times, dodge dinosaurs, but all roads lead back to Mabel's relentless mission to get her pig back. And when Dipper decides to stick with the one timeline where he wins, Mabel guilt trips him harder than ever. She pulls the "this pig is my soulmate" card because of course she does. Dipper cracks, goes back, and sacrifices his moment for her happiness. In the end, Wendy is still with Robbie, Dipper's heartbroken, and Mabel, she's got Waddles, cuddling him like nothing ever happened. Dipper's sacrifice is huge, but Mabel's joy is oblivious. It's a classic case of Mabel gets what she wants, even if it means her brother takes the L. But if you thought time traveling for a pig was intense, wait until Mabel's puppet crush in sock opera puts Dipper in even deeper danger. It kicks off when Dipper and Mabel crack open a mysterious laptop in hopes of solving the town's biggest mysteries. But before they get anywhere, Mabel gets distracted by Gabe, a puppeteer who she instantly crushes on. And because it's Mabel, she promises Gabe a sock puppet rock opera by the end of the week.
I'm puppet crazy! People call me puppet crazy Mabel!
Dipper needs Mabel's help to crack the laptop's password, but Mabel's got her eyes on the prize, and by prize, I mean Gabe's attention. She asks Dipper to help with her puppet show instead, swearing she'll help him after. Spoiler, she doesn't. Days pass, and while Mabel's play comes together, Dipper is running on zero sleep, hacking away at that laptop in frustration. Just when things couldn't get worse, Bill Cipher shows up, offering Dipper a deal he really should say no to. But when Mabel, caught up in her theater drama, leaves him hanging, Dipper makes the deal out of desperation. And that's when the puppet strings get pulled. Literally. Bill possesses Dipper, wrecks the laptop, and sets out to destroy Journal 3. Meanwhile, Mabel's too busy dazzling Gabe to notice anything is wrong until a sock puppet-possessed Dipper tells her the truth. Now what does Mabel do? At first, she tries to juggle saving Dipper and her play, only choosing her brother when it's nearly too late.
You didn't seem to have a problem taking it for your own play, or ditching him when he needed you, so come to your senses.
They fight off Bill and save the day, but not before Mabel's show goes up in flames, taking her romance with Gabe down with it. Turns out Gabe was more into his puppets than anything else.
You've made a mockery of my art form. Let's go, my loves.
Mabel realizes her mistake, apologizing to Dipper for letting her infatuation get in the way. Now, Mabel's theater drama may have ended with an apology, but next up in Dipper vs. Manliness, her teasing sparks a quest that's as bizarre as it is risky. Dipper and Mabel are starving and beg Grunkle Stan to take them to Greasy's diner. But things take a turn when Dipper, trying to flex some manly muscles, decides he's going to win free pancakes for everyone. Ambitious but sweet. Mabel's response? They absolutely lose it at the idea of Dipper trying to beat the manliness tester. Dipper goes up full of determination, only to be slapped with a cutie patootie result, and Mabel's there, giggling at her brother's embarrassment. Sure, it's sibling ribbing, but let's just say Mabel's empathy meter is running low here. While Dipper runs off to nurse his bruised ego in the woods, where he ends up bench pressing twigs and meeting a crew of half-man, half-bull manitors. Mabel's got her own mission. She's determined to help Grunkle Stan woo Lazy Susan. And if that means humiliating Stan with makeover training and cringy roleplays with Suze dressed up as Lazy Susan, then so be it. While all this is happening, Dipper's going through a whole macho initiation with the Manitors. Facing off with a multi-headed bear, Dipper ends up showing some serious character by refusing to kill the multi-bear after learning they share a love for Icelandic pop songs, because of course they do. He stands up to the Manitors and proves to himself that being true to who he is matters more than their manliness test. But guess what happens when he gets back to the diner to share his small victory? Mabel steals his moment of pride by immediately plucking out his one tiny chest hair for her scrapbook. Not exactly the support system you'd hope for after facing off with mythical creatures. Sibling rivalry is one thing, but Boys Crazy shows what happens when Mabel's obsession turns into a full-blown power play. It starts when Mabel, Grenda, and Candy get hyped about seeing their favorite boy band several times perform in Gravity Falls. But, plot twist, they find out these boys are actually clones, created and kept captive by a slimy producer, Ergman Bratzman.
Remember, you can always be replaced by your brothers. Dance for me, child, dance!
Mabel naturally decides to rescue them and stashes them at the Mystery Shack like she's their savior. Now, this is where things get sticky. Mabel doesn't just stop at rescuing them, she decides to keep them like pets. Candy and Grenda start seeing the red flags and try to talk some sense into her, but Mabel's in too deep. It gets to the point where she orders several times to throw Candy and Grenda out of the room, because nothing says friendship like kicking out your besties for your clone boy band. Meanwhile, Dipper's on a side mission trying to prove Robbie is using a mind control song on Wendy. Wendy finds out Robbie's been lying, breaks up with him, and Dipper tries to swoop in. Bad timing, Dip. Back to Mabel. She finally has a reality check after several times sings her a song about freedom. Mabel realizes she's crossed the line and lets the band go. But watching them stumble off into the forest, clueless about life, you just know they're doomed. In the end, Mabel makes up with Candy and Grenda, and things return to normal-ish. But Mabel's boy band takeover is just a warm-up for the matchmaking mayhem she unleashes in The Love God. It all starts when Mabel spots Robbie sobbing over his breakup with Wendy while lying in an open grave. Dipper's like, leave it alone, Mabel, but she's on a mission and won't listen. Mabel decides that the perfect way to fix Robbie's sadness is by playing matchmaker. Ignoring Dipper's warnings, she takes it up a notch by stealing an actual love potion from this over-the-top winged dude called the Love God. She slips the potion into Robbie and Tambry's chili fries, and they're suddenly all over each other. Sounds harmless, right? Wrong. Nate's mad because he secretly liked Tambry.
He knew I liked her! How could he do this?
Whoa, hold it. You like Tambry? And you told Robbie, but not me?
Wendy's angry because Tambry is dating her ex without a heads up. Dipper's not having it either, and he ends up getting pulled into Mabel's mess to help her undo the potion's effects. They go on a wild chase scene at the Woodstick Music Festival with Mabel and Dipper crowd surfing away from the Love God while dodging visions of Mabel's ex-crushes that he conjures up to distract her. In the end, Mabel realizes that maybe meddling in other people's lives isn't the best idea. But even when she tries to fix things, she ends up deciding not to spray the anti-love potion on Robbie and Tambry because they look happy. Thompson unintentionally saves the day by getting chased by security guards for sneaking in snacks, which somehow gets the friend group to cheer and reunite. And when it comes to party politics, Northwest Mansion Mystery shows Mabel pulling Dipper into a high-stakes haunting for the sake of a social climb. The episode begins with Pacifica, the queen of snobbery herself, showing up at the Mystery Shack begging for help. She needs Dipper to deal with a ghost threatening her family's big fancy party. But Mabel? She's not interested in the haunting, the danger, or even the fact that her brother has real ghost busting to do. Nope, Mabel's only focused on getting those golden tickets to the social event of the season. So Mabel guilt trips Dipper by reminding him that helping Pacifica means she and her friends Candy and Grenda get to go to the Ultimate Rager. Fast forward to the Northwest Manor where Dipper is fighting off an actual Category 10 ghost. Think angry, firebeard lumberjack who chants ancient sins while making stuffed animal heads bleed. Meanwhile, what's Mabel up to? Oh, She's drooling over a young Austrian baron named Marius von Funshauser and scheming with her friends about how to woo him.
Mabel, we had a truce!
Yes, a truce.
All of this while her brother's potentially facing ghostly doom. And when it comes to loyalty, Mabel throws it out the window. Remember the sisters' truce not to flirt with Marius? Yeah, that's not a thing anymore. Pacifica's having her big revelation moment, realizing she doesn't have to be the pawn of her power-obsessed, bell-ringing dad. She decides to break the Northwest curse by opening the gates and letting the townsfolk in, saving everyone. Mabel, she's conveniently missing from this whole breaking generational trauma moment. Instead, she reappears to patch things up with Candy and Grenda over some cheese and chocolate dunking like it's no big deal. Mabel, she's oblivious. But when reality itself is at stake, Mabel's actions in Weirdmageddon Part 1 push sibling drama to catastrophic new heights. So you remember how crazy things got when Bill Cipher unleashed Weirdmageddon, right? Well, in this one, Dipper, Wendy, and Seuss are on a mission to save Mabel, who's trapped in her own version of a glittery, rainbow-laden reality called Mabeland. But hold up, this isn't your average sparkly playground. It's literally a trap cooked up by Bill to keep Mabel locked in her own delusions. So they burst into this world and everything's so Mabel. We're talking plushies, smiley face clouds, a giant version of Waddles acting as a bus. They eventually find Mabel in her self-proclaimed tower, being all queen-like and avoiding reality because Dipper, in her eyes, betrayed her by choosing Ford's apprenticeship over their childhood pact. And just when you think Dipper's gonna win her over, Mabel hits him with Dippy Fresh.
Wiggity wiggity, what's up, dude bros? I like skateboarding, supporting my sister, and punctuating every sentence with a high five.
Wendy tries to stay on mission, but is quickly tempted into some pranking with her friends who show up in a monster truck. But things start to get weird when Dipper starts seeing through the facade. He realizes that this isn't just about Mabel's escape from reality, it's her outright denial of growing up. He almost gets banished for breaking the no reality rule, but calls for a trial. Yep, there's a trial with Mabel clones as the jury and a cat judge who's easily distracted by string.
This trial begins right meow. Oh! Yo!
Long story short, Dipper lays it all out. Their shared moments, the rough days that turned into memories, the whole point of facing life together. Mabel, who's been sipping on endless summer and denial, finally cracks when Dipper promises to stay by her side and skip the apprenticeship. They hug, the court and Mabeland falls apart, and everyone rides off on a giant Waddles like it's the most normal thing in the world. Back in the real, broken Gravity Falls, Mabel realizes, yeah, reality's rough and full of demonic pyramids, but the last Mabelcorn shows Mabel learning that hero quests aren't always as noble as they seem. It all starts when Ford, Dipper, and Mabel learn they need unicorn hair to protect the Mystery Shack from Bill Cipher's mind games. Mabel, convinced she's the purest of heart, volunteers to find it. Mabel sets off with Wendy, Candy, and Grenda, ready for an epic adventure. But when they meet the majestic and supremely smug unicorn Celestabelle Bethabel, things don't go as planned. Mabel's confidence shatters when the unicorn declares her not pure of heart, sparking an existential crisis. Determined to prove her goodness, Mabel tries a flurry of good deeds around town, but it's never enough. Every time she returns, the unicorn rejects her, and Mabel's frustration builds. Meanwhile, Wendy decides they need a plan B. She suggests using force to get the hair, leading the crew to some shady dealings involving fairy dust and butterfly trafficking. They even bribe gnome cops to secure the goods, but when Mabel finds out, she's livid and stops them just in time, or so she thinks. The unicorn wakes up mid-argument, and chaos ensues. Two random unicorns appear and expose the Celestabelle Bethabel's secret test is a scam. Mabel, who's been beating herself up the whole time, realizes she's been tricked. Furious, she punches the unicorn and embraces her inner rage. The whole ordeal shows that Mabel's desperate need to prove herself can sometimes backfire, making her more self-centered than sisterly. Even though they manage to get the unicorn hair and secure the shack, it's clear Mabel learned that sometimes trying too hard to be perfect can twist into selfishness. And finally, in Dipper and Mabel versus the Future, Mabel's refusal to face change drags her brother into one of the series' most heartbreaking turns. Mabel starts the episode on a high note, waking Dipper up with one of her goofy antics, Mr. Upside Downington. The reason? Their 13th birthday is just a week away. Mabel is excited, thinking about throwing the ultimate birthday party, but Dipper's mind is already on other things. When Ford calls Dipper over for an emergency, things begin to spiral. Ford reveals that the interdimensional rift is cracking, and if Bill Cipher gets hold of it, reality will unravel. He dubs this event Weirdmageddon. Dipper faces a huge choice: help Ford with this mission or stay with Mabel and their birthday plans. Mabel, in her excitement and trust, pushes Dipper to go with Ford, thinking their walkie-talkies will keep them close enough. But little does she know, this decision sets the stage for one of the biggest betrayals. While Dipper and Ford venture to patch the rift, Mabel's day takes a nosedive. Wendy tells Mabel the truth about high school. It's not the dreamland she imagined, but a world full of stress and judgment. This realization leaves Mabel rattled, and things only get worse when she finds out her friends Candy and Grenda can't come to her party. Suddenly, her dream birthday turns into a nightmare. Mabel tries reaching Dipper on the walkie-talkie, desperate for reassurance, but Dipper is caught up with Ford's mission and can't respond. When Ford offers Dipper the opportunity to stay in Gravity Falls as his apprentice, Mabel unknowingly overhears it on her walkie-talkie, feeling utterly abandoned. Her brother, the one person she thought would always be by her side, is choosing a different path. Devastated, Mabel runs into the woods, clutching Dipper's backpack by mistake. As she sits alone, Blendin Blandin, possessed by Bill Cipher, appears, offering her a way to make summer last forever. All he needs is the rift from Ford. Mabel, longing for stability and unable to cope with change, hands it over without knowing its true significance. The rift is shattered, and Bill's plan is set into motion. This is the moment where Mabel's impulsive choice leads to disastrous consequences, plunging Gravity Falls into Weirdmageddon. She may not have meant harm, but her fear of losing her brother and her desperation to keep things as they were led to one of the biggest catastrophes in the series. If you want to see more videos like this, I made one about Patrick. Just click the picture on the screen, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Peace.